Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with me, your host, Rosie D. Candia. So glad to have you back where you belong. So without any further ado, let's get on with Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. And we're going to read Chapter 8, The Mermaid's Lagoon. If you shut your eyes and are a lucky one, you may see at times a shapeless pool of lovely pale color suspended in the darkness. Then, if you squeeze your eyes tighter, the pool begins to take shape, and the colors become so vivid that with another squeeze they must go on fire. But just before they go on fire, you see the lagoon. This is the nearest you ever get to it on the mainland. Just one heavenly moment. If there could be two moments, you might see the surf and hear the mermaids singing. The children often spent long summer days on this lagoon, swimming or floating most of the time, playing the mermaid games in the water, and so forth. You must not think from this that the mermaids were on friendly terms with them. On the contrary, it was among Wendy's lasting regrets that all the time she was on the island, she never heard a civil word from one of them. Oh, that's right. So we all think mermaids are like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but unfortunately, mermaids are sirens and they're bitches. And they're sirens, they call people, the sailors to the sea, and then they kill them. So poor Wendy is not only a housewife and a mother to all these little bastards, she now doesn't even get the joy of talking to the mermaids. And now we're talking about endless summer nights. So I'd like to know how friggin' long they're on this island. That's all I'm saying, okay? When she stole softly to the edge of the lagoon, she might see them by the shore, especially on Marooners Rock, where they had loved to bask, combing out their hair in a lazy way that quite irritated her. Or she might even swim on tiptoe, as it were, to within a yard of them. But then they saw her and dived, probably splashing her with their tails, not by accident, but intentionally. So they're persnickety like Tinkerbell. You know, it's so interesting. None of these women want to stick together. They're all a bunch of bitches. You believe this shit? Poor Wendy. Poor Wendy. They treated all the boys in the same way, except, of course, Peter, who chatted with them on Marooners Rock by the hour and sat on their tails when they got cheeky. He gave Wendy one of their combs. Oh, once again, I know the book is all about Peter, but Peter can do no wrong. Everybody loves Peter, you know what I'm saying? Okay. The most haunting time in which to see them is at the turn of the moon, when they utter strange wailing cries. But the lagoon is dangerous for mortals then, and until the evening of which we now have to tell, Wendy had never seen the lagoon by moonlight, less from fear, for of course Peter would have accompanied her, than because she had strict rules about everyone being in bed by 7. She was often at the lagoon, however, on sunny days after rain when the mermaids come up in extraordinary numbers to play with their bubbles. The bubbles of many colors made in rainbow water they treat as balls, hitting them gaily from one to another with their tails and trying to keep them in the rainbow till they burst. So it's like mermaid soccer. Okay, they keep themselves busy. The goals are at each end of the rainbow, and the keepers only are allowed to use their hands. Sometimes a dozen of these games will be going on in the lagoon at a time, and it is quite a pretty sight. But the moment the children tried to join in, they had to play by themselves, for the mermaids immediately disappeared. Nevertheless, we have proof that they secretly watched the interlopers and were not above taking an idea from them, for John introduced a new way of hitting the bubble with the head instead of the hand, and the mermaids adopted it. This is the one mark that John has left on the Neverland. All right, good on you, John. You taught them how to headbutt a bubble, so this is definitely their form of soccer. Imagine playing soccer with a rainbow ball. Oh my God, I would love it. It must also have been rather pretty to see the children resting on a rock for half an hour after their midday meal. Wendy insisted on their doing this, and it had to be a real rest, even though the meal was make-believe. So they lay there in the sun, and their bodies glistened in it, while she sat beside them and looked important. Oh, look at Wendy. It was one such day, and they were all on Marooners Rock. The rock was not much larger than their great bed, but of course they all knew how not to take up much room, and they were dozing, or at least lying with their eyes shut, and pinching occasionally when they thought Wendy was not looking. She was very busy stitching. Of course she was, because all she does is cook make-believe food and don their clothes and sit there longingly wondering that she wishes she were a spinster. I gotta let that go, I know. While she stitched, a change came to the lagoon. Little shivers ran over it, and the sun went away and shadows stole across the water, turning it cold like my heart. Wendy could no longer see to thread her needle, and when she looked up, the lagoon had always hitherto been such a laughing place, seemed formidable and unfriendly. Dun, 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 dun. And on fear. It was not, she knew, that night had come, but something as dark as night had come. No worse than that. It had not come, but it had sent that shivers through the sea to say that it was coming. What was it? There crowded upon her all the stories she had been told of Marooners Rock, so called because evil captains put sailors on it and leave them there to drown. They drown when the tide rises, for then it is submerged. That is some way to torture somebody. So you stick them on a rock, obviously, you maroon them, because they're also maroons, what a maroon. And then they are tied up and they're stuck on this rock, and then the tide comes and they drown them. So Marooners Rock should be like Marooners Drown. Okay. Anyway, of course, she should have roused the children at once, not merely because of the unknown that was stalking toward them, but because it was no longer good for them to sleep on a rock grown chilly. But she was a young mother, and she did not know this. She thought you simply must stick to your rule about half an hour after the midday meal. So, though fear was upon her, and she longed to hear male voices, she would not waken them. Such a good mother. Even if she's in fear, she doesn't rouse the children and make them alarmed. I'm surprised she didn't wake Peter. Let's see. We haven't even heard about Peter. Is he playing with the mermaids? Please. She stood over them to let them have their sleep out. Was it not brave of Wendy? It was brave of her. It was well for those boys, then, that there was one among them who could sniff danger, even in his sleep. Peter sprang erect, as wide awake at once as a dog, and with one warning cry, he roused the others. He stood motionless, one hand to his ear. "Pirates!" he cried. The others came closer to him. A strange smile was playing above his face, and Wendy saw it and shuddered. While that smile was on his face, no one dared address him. All they could do was stand ready to obey. The order came sharp and incisive. "Dive!" There was a gleam of legs, and instantly the lagoon seemed deserted. Marooners Rock stood alone in the forbidding waters as if it were itself marooned. The boat drew nearer. It was the pirate dinghy with 3 figures in it, Smee and Starkey, and the third a captive, no other than Tiger Lily. Her hands and ankles were tied, and she knew what was to be her fate. She was to be left on the rock to perish, an end to one of her race more terrible than death by fire or torture. For it is not written in the book of the tribe that there is no path through water to happy hunting grounds. Yet her face was impassive. She was the daughter of a chief. She must die as a chief's daughter. It is enough. Look at that. I do love how they make the women very brave in this. Wendy's a brave mother, and Tiger Lily is a very brave princess. So I say kudos to you, Jay and Barry, even though you've made Wendy the housewife, but it's okay. They had caught her boarding the pirate ship with a knife in her mouth. No watch was kept on the ship, it being Hook's boast that the wind of his name guarded the ship for a mile around. Now her fate would help to guard it also. No more whale would go the round in that wind by night. In the gloom that they brought with them, the 2 pirates did not see the rock till they crashed into it. "Luff, you lubber," cried an Irish voice that was Smee's. "Here's the rock. Now then, what we have to do is to hoist the redskin onto it and leave her here to drown." It was the work of one brutal moment to land the beautiful girl in the rock. She was too proud to offer a vain resistance. Good for you. You know what they say? It's happened, it's happened. She went on their ship. She knew the dangers of it. It's kind of like the mafia. If you're going to be part of the Italian mob and you want to play with the big boys, you never know what's going to happen, okay? So I appreciate her bravery. Quite near the rock, but out of sight, two heads were bobbing up and down, Peter's and Wendy's. Wendy was crying, for it was the first tragedy she had seen. Peter had seen many tragedies, but he had forgotten them all. He was less sorry than Wendy for Tiger Lily. It was 2 against 1 that angered him, and he meant to save her. An easy way would have been to wait until the pirates had gone, but he was never one to choose the easy way. There was almost nothing he could not do, and he now imitated the voice of Hook. "Ahoy there, you lubbers," he called. It was a marvelous imitation. "The captain," said the pirates, staring at each other in surprise. "He must be swimming out to us," Starkey said, when they had looked for him in vain. "We are putting the redskin on the rocks," Smee called out. "Set her free," came the astonishing answer. "Free!" "Yes, cut her bonds and let her go." "But, Captain—" "At once, do you hear?" cried Peter, "or I'll plunge my hook in you." "This is queer," Smee gasped. "Better do what the captain orders," said Starkey nervously. "Aye, aye," Smee said, and he cut Tiger Lily's cords. At once, like an eel, she slid between Starkey's legs into the water. Of course, Wendy was very elated over Peter's cleverness, but she knew that he would be elated also, and very likely crow, and thus betray himself, so at once her hand went out to cover his mouth. "She's very smart and astute, this girl. She knows the deal with this kid. He just can't stop. And I love that, you know what, Tiger Lily has slid out, the boys got tricked, and Peter is good at everything, obviously. And Wendy, she's still the smartest bitch there, right now. That's all I'm going to have to say. But it was stayed even in the act, for "Boat ahoy!" rang over the lagoon in Hook's voice, and this time it was not Peter who had spoken. Peter may have been about to crow, but his face puckered in a whistle of surprise instead. "Boat ahoy!" again came the voice. Now Wendy understood. The real Hook was also in the water. He was swimming to the boat, and as his men showed a light to guide him, he had soon reached them. In the light of the lantern, Wendy saw his hook grip the boat's side. She saw his evil, swarthy face as he rose dripping from the water, and quaking, she would have liked him to swim away, but Peter would not budge. He was tingling with life and also top-heavy with conceit. One of Peter's downfalls. Think about your downfall and how sometimes it really doesn't serve you. This is going to be one of these times. "Am I not a wonder?" "Oh, I am a wonder," he whispered to her. And though she thought so also, she was really glad for the sake of his reputation that no one heard him except himself. He signed to her to listen. The 2 pirates were very curious to know what had brought their captain to them, but he sat with his head on his hook in a position of profound melancholy. "Captain, is all well?" they asked timidly, but he answered with a hollow moan. "He sighs," said Smee. "He sighs again," said Starkey. "And yet a 3rd time he sighs," said Smee. Then at last he spoke passionately. "The game's up," he cried. "Those boys have found a mother." Affrighted though she was, Wendy swelled with pride. "Oh, evil day!" cried Starkey. "What's a mother?" asked the ignorant Smee. Wendy was so shocked that she exclaimed, "He doesn't know?" And always after this she felt that if you could have a pet pirate, Smee would be her one. Peter pulled her beneath the water, for Hook had started up crying. "What was that?" "I heard nothing," said Starkey, raising the lantern over the waters, and as the pirates looked they saw a strange sight. It was the nest I have told you of, floating on the lagoon, and the Neverbird was sitting on it. "See," said Hook in answer to Smee's question. "That is a mother. What a lesson! The nest must have fallen into the water, but would the mother desert her eggs? No." There was a break in his voice, as if for a moment he recalled innocent days when... But he brushed away his weakness with his hook. Smee, much impressed, gazed at the bird as the nest was borne past, but the more suspicious Starkey said, "If she is a mother, perhaps she is hanging about here to help Peter." Hook winced. "Aye," he said, "that is the fear that haunts me." He was roused from his dejection by Smee's eager voice. "Captain," said Smee, "could we not kidnap these boys, mother, and make her our mother?" Everybody wants a mother, you see, even Smee. And look at Smee coming up with the smart plan. Hello. "It is a princely scheme," cried Hook, and at once it took practical shape in his great brain. "We will seize the children and carry them to the boat. The boys we will make walk the plank, and Wendy shall be our mother." Again Wendy forgot herself. "Never!" she cried and bobbed. What was that? But they could see nothing. They thought it must have been a leaf in the wind. "Do you agree, my bullies?" asked Hook. "There is my hand on it," they both said. "And there is my hook. Swear." They all swore. By this time they were on the rock, and suddenly Hook remembered Tiger Lily. "Where is the red skin?" he demanded abruptly. He had a playful humor at moments, and they thought this was one of those moments. "That is all right, Captain," Smee answered complacently. "We let her go." "Let her go?" cried Hook. "'Twas your own orders," the boatswain faltered. "You called over the water to us to let her go," said Starkey. "Brimstone and gall!" thundered Hook. "What cozening is going on here?" His face had gone black with rage, but he saw that they believed their words, and he was startled. "Lads," he said, shaking a little, "I gave no such order." "It is passing queer," Smee said, and they all fidgeted uncomfortably. Hook raised his voice, but there was a quiver in it. "Spirit that haunts this dark lagoon tonight," he cried, "dost hear me?" Of course. Peter should have kept quiet, but of course he did not. He immediately answered in Hook's voice, "Odds, bobs, hammer and tongs, I hear you." Oh, here we go. We're going to see what's going to happen now. This is a good one that they've chosen to tell us. In that supreme moment, Hook did not blanch, even at the gills, but Smee and Starkey clung to each other in terror. "Who are you, stranger? Speak," Hook demanded. "I am James Hook," replied the voice, "captain of the Jolly Rancher." "You are not, Hook cried hoarsely. "Brimstone and gall," the voice retorted. "Say that again and I'll cast anchor in you." Hook tried a more ingratiating manner. "If you are Hook," he said almost humbly, "come tell me, who am I?" "A codfish," replied the voice, "only a codfish." "A codfish?" Hook echoed blankly, and it was then, but not till then, that his proud spirit broke. He saw his men draw back from him. "Have we been captained all this time by a codfish?" they muttered. "It is lowering to our pride." Yeah, imagine finding out your captain's a codfish. But what's funny here is Hook is doubting who he is. I mean, really, is he having an Is he having an existential crisis like Alice was? He doesn't know who he is now. He doesn't stand in his truth. Oy vey. I guess the Neverland, you never know what's going to happen there. They were his dogs snapping at him, but tragic figure though he had become, he scarcely heeded them. Against such fearful evidence, it was not their belief in him that he needed. It was his own. He felt his ego slipping from him. "Don't desert me, bully," he whispered hoarsely to it. Isn't that the truth? It's not other people's belief in life. You need belief in yourself to get ahead. You don't need people to tell you can do something. Oh, it's nice to have this support, but at the end of the day, you believe in yourself. Remember, you can make shit happen. This is a case in point right here. Hello. In his dark nature, there was a touch of the feminine, as in all the great pirates, and it sometimes gave him intuitions. Suddenly, he tried the guessing game. Isn't that interesting? There was the feminine, because you know we're made of masculine and feminine energy, and the fact is this, the intuition, woman's intuition. So I like how they said he has a touch of feminine. First of all, the man he's bedraggled with curls and all this stuff, and he's quite a character, so, but, he is handsome. I'm never going to forget that Hook is handsome. "Hook," he called, "have you another voice?" Now Peter could never resist a game, and he answered blithely in his own voice, "I have." "And another name?" "Aye, aye." "Vegetable?" asked Hook. "No." "Mineral?" "No." "Animal?" "Yes." "Man?" "No." This anger rang out scornfully. "Boy?" "Yes." "Ordinary boy?" "No." Wonderful boy? To Wendy's pain, the answer that rang out this time was, yes. Are you in England? No. Are you here? Yes. Hook was completely puzzled. You ask him some questions, he said to the others, wiping his damp brow. Smee reflected. I can't think of a thing, he said regretfully. Can't guess? Can't guess? Crowed Peter. Do you give it up? Of course, in his pride, he was carrying the game too far. And the miscreants saw their chance. Yes, yes, they answered eagerly. Well then, he cried, I am Peter Pan. Pan? In a moment, Hook was himself again, and Smee and Starkey was faithful henchmen. Now we have him, Hook shouted. Into the water, Smee. Starkey, mind the boat. Take him, dead or alive. He leaped as he spoke, and simultaneously came the gay voice of Peter. Are ya ready, boys? Aye, aye, from various parts of the lagoon. Then land into the pirates. The fight was short and sharp. First to draw blood was John, who gallantly climbed into the boat and held Starkey. There was a fierce struggle in which the cutlass was torn from the pirate's grasp. He wriggled overboard, and John leapt after him. The dinghy drifted away. Here and there a head bobbed up in the water, and there was a flash of steel, followed by a cry or a whoop. In the confusion, some struck at their own side. The corkscrew of Smee got Toodles in the fourth rib, but he was himself pinked and turned by Curly. Farther from the rocks, Starkey was pressing slightly, and the twins hard. Ugh! Where all this time was Peter? He was seeking bigger game. The others were all brave boys, and they must not be blamed for backing from the pirate captain. His iron claw made a circle of dead water round him, for which they fled like affrighted fishes. But there was one who did not fear him. There was one prepared to enter the circle. Strangely, it was not in the water that they met. Hook rose to the rock to breathe, and at the same moment, Peter scaled it on the opposite side. The rock was slippery as a ball, and they had to crawl rather than climb. Neither knew that the other was coming. Each feeling for a grip met the other's arm. In surprise, they raised their heads. Their faces were almost touching, so they met. Oh, this is like getting so exciting. It's like, oh my God, I'm getting excited. I'm actually like, oh my God, perspiring. I need like a tissue. Ah, what is going to happen here? There's just so much going on. Some of the greatest heroes have confessed that just before they fell to, they had a sinking. Had it been so with Peter at that moment, I would admit it. After all, he was the only man that the sea cook had feared. But Peter had no sinking. He had one feeling only, gladness, and he gnashed his pretty teeth with joy. Quick as thought, he snatched a knife from Hook's belt and was about to drive it home when he saw that he was higher up the rock than his foe. It would not have been fighting fair. He gave the pirate a hand to help him up. You see, Peter Pan, even though he's a narcissist, maybe he's not so much a narcissist, he's a child. Even though he might be conceited and has the childlike ways, he still knows right and wrong, and he doesn't play unfairly. That's nice. Remember when he said in the beginning, he goes to kill the pirates, and John's like in their sleep. He's like, of course not. It wouldn't be fair. I wake them up. And look at this. He's helping Hook. He's giving Hook a helping hand. Let's see. It was then that Hook bit him. Not the pain of this, but its unfairness was what dazed Peter. It made him quite helpless. He could only stare, horrified. Every child is affected thus the first time he is treated unfairly. All he thinks he has a right to when he comes to you to be yours is fairness. After you have been unfair to him, he will love you again, but will never afterwards be quite the same boy. No one ever gets over the first unfairness. No one, except Peter. He often met it, but he always forgot it. I suppose that was the real difference between him and all the rest. Look at that. Isn't that true? I mean, we're going to talk about this in the woo, but think about a time someone, an adult, played a game with you or did something to you or said they were going to do something like Mr. Darling did with the medicine, and then you felt like, what was that all about? And then you lose a sense of respect for them. I mean, you'll still love the person, but you'll never respect them the same way. Thank God for Peter. He's got that ADD and that short-term memory thing. I know he doesn't have a short-term memory thing, but he's so busy in his mind that he can't remember shit. So, when he met it now, it was like the first time, and he could just stare, helpless. Twice the iron hand clawed him. A few moments afterwards, the other boys saw Hook and water striking wildly for the ship. No elation on the pestilent face now, only white fear, for the crocodile was in dogged pursuit of him. On ordinary occasions, the boys would have swum alongside cheering, but now they were uneasy, for they had lost both Peter and Wendy, and were scouring the lagoon for them, calling them by name. They found the dinghy and went home in it, shouting, "Peter, Wendy," as they went, but no answer came, save mocking laughter from the mermaids. They must be swimming back or flying, the boys concluded. They were not very anxious because they had such faith in Peter. They chuckled, boy-like, because they would be late for bed, and it was all Mother Wendy's fault. Dun, dun, dun. Thank God for the crocodile. The crocodile's perfect timing, and I wonder if that's because the crocodile has a clock in the stomach. Remember that? Ha ha ha. There's my stupid pun again. Anyway, the boys are going home into the dinghy. Captain Hook is being chased by the crocodile, and where are Peter and Wendy? Oh no, here comes the tale. When their voices died away, there came cold silence over the lagoon, and then a feeble cry. "Help! Help!" Two small figures were beating against the rock. The girl had fainted and lay on the boy's arm. With a last effort, Peter pulled her up the rock and then lay down beside her. Even as he also fainted, he saw that the waters were rising. He knew that they would soon be drowned, but he could do no more. I'm agog. I'm aghast. I'm in shock. I'm in anon fear. As they lay side by side, a mermaid caught Wendy by the feet and began pulling her softly into the water. That bitch, you see, she was even going to take advantage of what everybody wants Wendy dead. What's up with these bitches? They can't stick together. Tinkerbell wants it dead. The mermaid wants it dead. What the fuck, man? If I was Wendy, I'd be like, screw all you bitches. But Wendy's a good girl. She's a nice person. Peter, feeling her slip from him, woke with a start and was just in time to draw her back. But he had to tell her the truth. "We are on the rock, Wendy," he said, "but it is growing smaller. Soon the water will be over it." She did not understand, even now. "We must go," she said almost brightly. "Yes," he answered faintly. "Shall we swim or fly, Peter?" He had to tell her. "Do you think you could swim or fly as far as the island, Wendy, without my help?" She had to admit that she was too tired. He moaned. "What is it?" she asked, anxious about him at once. "I can't help you, Wendy. Hook wounded me. I can neither fly nor swim." "Do you mean we shall both be drowned?" "Look how the water is rising." They put their hands over their eyes to shut out the sight. They thought they would soon be no more. As they sat thus, something brushed against Peter as light as a kiss and stayed there, as if saying timidly, "Can I be of any use?" And out of the depths of hell comes a ray of light from heaven. Oh, look at that. Look at me getting all wah-wah. It was the tail of a kite, which Michael had made some days before. It had torn itself out of his hand and floated away. "Michael's kite," Peter said without interest. But next moment he had seized the tail and was pulling the kite toward him. "It lifted Michael off the ground," he cried. "Why should it not carry you?" "Both of us." "It can't lift two." Michael and Curly tried. "Let us draw lots," Wendy said bravely. "And you a lady? Never." Already he had tied the tail round her. She clung to him. She refused to go without him. But with a "Goodbye, Wendy," he pushed her from the rock, and in a few minutes she was borne out of his sight. Peter was alone on the lagoon. Here's a picture. I don't know if you can see it, the original drawings. Beautiful. This is depressing. I'm not going to lie. This is very scary. If I were a child, I'd be like, what the hell's going to happen to Peter Pan? The rock was very small now. Soon it would be submerged. Pale rays of light tiptoed across the waters. And by there was to be heard a sound at once, the most musical and the most melancholy in the world. The mermaids calling to the moon. Peter was not quite like the other boys, but he was afraid at last. A tremor ran through him, like a shudder passing over the sea. But on the sea, one shudder follows another, till there are hundreds of them. And Peter felt just the one. Next moment, he was standing erect on the rock again, with that smile on his face and a drum beating within him. It was saying, to die will be an awfully big adventure. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. First off, this was a great chapter, and I'm glad they picked this story. You know how they had a bunch of stories they were going to tell us? Well, they picked a really good one. Oh my God, there's so much going on in this chapter. All right. First, I want to discuss the fact that Hook is a cheater, and we don't like cheaters. And I think for me, it's very important to recognize in life that no matter how old you are, if you're an adult with children, you know, you have children, or you're a teacher, or even just with other people, playing fair is the way to go in life. And I don't like the cheating thing. But what I think is interesting is the fact that they talk about how Peter was just like, you know, kind of just like stunned by it. He didn't even care about the bite. So I want you to think of a time when, you know, you felt cheated by somebody, and it could be an adult, and how it really kind of hurt your feelings at that point, or in your life period, and how that feeling, how you can release if you're still holding any anger or bitterness on it. You know how we talked about forgiveness a couple episodes ago with Wendy? The same thing with this. Sometimes, you know what? We all feel cheated in life once in a blue moon, maybe not even by people only, but by circumstances. But it doesn't help us to sit in the, oh my God, I've been cheated by this one, I've been cheated by life. Like Peter, he just moved on by it. It doesn't make you feel good, but I'm going to encourage you to think of times when you felt like you were cheated, and is it bringing up feelings of anxiety or anger or resentment? Because if it is, then I'm going to ask you to totally let that go. But I also want to think about a time where you feel that maybe you have treated someone unfairly. And you know what? This is something for us all to remember. We should treat others, and this is what we learn like at 5 years old. Treat others as you would like to be treated, right? And when you're doing a game, or even just in life, I know there's so many people that get ahead in life that don't do things fairly. They don't play by the rules. And then we sit there and say, well, they don't play by the rules. Yeah, but the thing is this. You don't have to be a follower. You walk your own path. And I think that's what's important here. And I think it's important that Peter probably could have done something right back to Hook to be unfair to him or cheat him. But he did not. Peter seems to take the higher ground. And what I love about this is that even though Peter has conceit and what have you, and those are just human qualities, when it comes down to like good morals, this kid is an upstanding guy. He doesn't cheat. He plays fair. And now he's facing friggin' death. And he's standing there, even though he's got fear in him. He's just like, okay, I'm going to take this on. It is what it is. And that's like all of us. You know what? Each and every day we are presented with obstacles and challenges, especially now. And it's been, you know, in the recent few weeks, a lot of upheaval in our lives. And it's not been normal. But how do we face these upheavals? You know what? At the end of the day, you can't control it. We've talked about that. And it's up to you to look bravely and to know that your human spirit can survive anything. And I think I want to really, you know, drive that in, because Peter he's got a strong, strong spirit. And I think it's really important because he believes in himself, and he does. We know he's going to survive this. That's the point. You know, I will survive. We do survive things that we think are going to break us, but they don't. So I want you to think about times in your life that you felt, I'm not going to make it through this. I'm not going to make it through this. And then think about how you came over the other edge of it and you did make it. And that, you know what? You too, all this shit's going to pass. Everything in your life. And what are you going to grow from it? And, you know, you're going to become a different person from it, probably with more character. That's the point. So I think it's really important to address that this book is really all about a lot of morals, you know, not being a cheater, fighting fairly, you know, facing your demons, facing your fears, and standing in your truth, because Peter stands in his truth, all right? You know, he is who he is. And I love the fact that he also is a stand-up kid. He helped Tiger Lily. You know what I mean? He does what he needs to do, and he's a good human being. And that's my point. There are more good human beings than not. Let's not dwell on the shitty people. Let's know that what we bring to the world is enough, and that our energy and our vibrations, the more of us that stick together and the more of us that stand in truth and honesty and playing fair and being a good person, That's what's going to raise the vibration and frequency, and that's what's going to come on top. And I think that's really important with this book. And I love how he just let Wendy, not only because she was a lady, but because he's a courageous young man, but he did respect her as a lady, and he sent her to her safety. So all in all, then we also have, let's not forget, we know that Captain Hook is a dick, and we know that he really has no morals because he's a pirate. And of course, he's got the least amount of morals because he's the captain of these bunch of yahoos. But the point is, even in himself, he doesn't have true confidence. And everything he does in his life is all pomp and circumstance, all right? So think about those people that you know in your life that talk and boast about who they are, and they're so grand and they look so put together. Not all of them, but a lot of them don't have inherent self-love, self-belief, and that's what it comes down to. Remember, him hearing another person do an imitation of him actually threw him off guard, and then he's like, well, who am I? And I know it's just a story, but what in your life have you felt, have you not had the confidence to stand up in your truth, to stand up with who you are, and to know who you are? Because let me tell you something, my friends, if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. You have to know that you are enough, that you are worthy, and that whatever you're doing in your life, daily life, and I'm not even talking about achieving your dreams and goals and visions, but just anything in your life, you are enough. And you have to have belief in yourself, because honestly, you're going to emit that to the world. Everything you feel about yourself is what you put out to the world. So in response to your lack of belief, people aren't going to believe in you either. But the day you stand up in your truth, your authenticity, and you have confidence and you believe and you love yourself, everybody else around you is like, damn, I want to have what that person's having. You know what I mean? Can I have a side of that? So I'm going to encourage you to think about times when you didn't believe in yourself, what was the outcome of stuff, or when you did believe in yourself and what you got from it in terms of as a person, as your success. And success is personal. It doesn't have to be about money, jobs, and what have you, but knowing that when you did truly believe in yourself, that the world responded differently. And if you can really think about that, or if you're journaling, great, write down the times when you didn't believe, what was the outcome, and when you did believe in yourself, what was the outcome, and match the two. And today, start telling yourself, if you don't already, or if you're not believing in yourself, that you are enough and I am worthy. Look in the mirror and say that every day. I am enough, I am worthy. Just keep saying it when you're sitting around your house or in your car. I am enough, I am worthy. And you know what? Start your day knowing you are enough and worthy. Stand in your belief of yourself, knowing that no one can take away who you are if you allow them to. So don't give your power away, all right? Stand in your truth. Stand in who you are and believe in yourself and love yourself. Okay, I think I'm a little agog and aghast and a little overwhelmed by that chapter. And obviously, we're going to see how Peter gets saved. I mean, will it be the Lost Boys? We know it's not going to be Captain Hook. He's he's swimming away like a little child, a little baby. He's worse than Peter. I mean, that's the thing. He's swimming away from the crocodile. He's so scared. Pooey on him. See, I do believe in karma. You know what? Captain Hook. Now he's got the crocodile after his ass. All right, my friends. Hope you enjoyed this chapter as much as I did. I don't know if you were on the edge of your seat. I was on the edge of mine. I'm not going to lie. Okay? I was sweating bullets. Anyway, hope you have an amazing day. Please know you're enough. You're worthy. Believe in yourself. Have the confidence to, follow your dreams. To just stand in your truth and authenticity and know that that's all that's enough. That's all that's needed about you. That's it. Stand in your truth. And also, lastly, be a nice person. Don't cheat people. Treat people fairly. And you know what? Treat others as you'd like to be treated. And for those people that are the assholes that mistreat you, send them light and love. Forgive them and be on and just be like, I'm done with you. Because I do believe when a person first shows you who they are, believe them. That's all I'm going to say. You know that saying, burn me once, shame on me. Burn me twice, shame on you. No, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. Duh. Anyway, Vault, you have a great one. Send me a light and love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.